One of the tasks that can require a great deal of administrative effort is the management of user accounts and credentials as part of your administration of your resources in Azure Active Directory. And we've already talked about self-service password reset and reducing that burden from the organization and allowing the users to reset their own passwords. But there are also the issues that are associated with passwords and user accounts that are related to accessing applications. Now, usually some applications, many applications, if they're external or internal to our organization, may have their own passwords and authentication mechanisms. Now, wouldn't it be great if users would just use one credential and then be able to access a multitude amount of resources, whether those resources may be hosted in Azure or outside of Azure? Well, the ability of a user to use a single set of credentials to access multiple resources is referred to as single sign-on. The process of single sign-on is enhanced through Azure Active Directory by providing the ability of managing your user credentials to other resources through the Azure Active Directory portals. So, in order to do that, we need to publish applications as part of Azure resources. And again, those resources could be hosted in Azure, they could be hosted on premises, or they could be hosted as an application service from a third-party provider. So what I'm going to do now is actually demonstrate the process of publishing these applications. So under my Azure Active Directory, I just click on Enterprise Applications. And here I see that I have an option to add new applications. Now you'll notice that there are currently a library of about 3,000 applications, and there are more applications being added constantly. Now, you don't have to pick one of these applications. You can also add an application that you're developing, so a custom application that you would then be able to upload to Azure or something that hosted on premises. Now, what I'm going to do here is actually look for a specific application, and I'm going to demonstrate this, for example, with OneDrive. So we know the OneDrive application and file storage sharing application, so I can actually add that and publish OneDrive for my users. So I'm going to add it now. And here I'm just asked to confirm adding the application to my subscription. And you see that the application has been added now. So here I can click on Quick Start and see some of the options that I have to initially configure and test this application. So if I were to click on Overview here, I'd be brought into a tutorial that shows me a little bit of the steps to configure the applications. I don't need to do that right now. Then I can click here on assigning a user for testing. So this is essentially assigning the application to a specific user so that him or her can use this application. Now here, this is designed as a test functionality, so I don't have to do it now. I can apply the application to all my users, but I'm going to do this as a test so that you can actually view how that actually works. So I'm going to click on Add User and click on my users and groups to have the option to add a user. So I'm going to add myself actually, and I'm going to assign this application to myself. Click Select and Assign. Now the application is being assigned to me. I can close this blade and I can go to the next option, which is configuring single sign-on for this application. Again, the whole reason why we want to have this functionality is to be able to allow a caching of the password so that the user is not prompted for the password every time that they need to access this application. So by default, it is disabled single sign-on. So I'm going to go ahead and enable single sign-on. And again, we are now securing the password storage for this application. And this is very important because this will again allow my user to put in the password once, and once it has been entered into the web browser, the user will no longer be prompted for that password. So I've been confirmed that this is done. I can close this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and test that process right now. Now to test it, I simply have to go to myapps.microsoft.com to see the applications that are published to my account. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add a browser window here and go to myapps.microsoft.com, and I have into OneDrive. Just to demonstrate how this is actually working each time, I will close my windows, open them again, go back into my apps, show you that I have my OneDrive application over here. Click on it, and this time I am not prompted for a password. I'm brought directly into OneDrive. So I'm going to close that. And now I'm back to my portal, and I've demonstrated how publishing an application allows me to have single sign-on by connecting to my published applications in the myapps.microsoft.com app by authenticating once to Azure Active Directory and seeing all the resources that are provided to me through the Azure portal.